All right, welcome to our final chapter on the history of Roman currency. And look, this isn't just another story about how Rome fell. It's actually a story about survival. An incredible story of how money itself became the technology that held a massive empire together for centuries longer than it should have.
Everyone always asks, why did Rome fall? But I think we're asking the wrong question. What if we flip that on its head? The real mystery isn't the collapse, it's how in the world this empire managed to endure for century after century against absolutely overwhelming odds.
And the key to that incredible endurance, well, it was their monetary system. We're about to see how Roman currency wasn't just a bunch of metal coins. It was a powerful, adaptive technology of survival that the empire reshaped again and again to get through one crisis after another.
Okay, so let's start by looking at the engine that powered the whole thing during its golden age. The famous Pax Romana. This was the powerhouse of the entire Roman world.
What's so amazing about this is that it wasn't just a way to buy stuff. It was a complete circuit. Think of it like a circulatory system. The silver denarius was the lifeblood that locked the military, the economy, and the state itself into one powerful, self-sustaining loop. It was genius.
And here's one of Rome's first secret weapons for survival. It was never a fully monetized society. It was a hybrid. This gave it incredible flexibility. If the flow of silver coins ever got disrupted, no big deal. The state could just lean more heavily on collecting taxes in actual stuff. Grain, livestock, you name it. So, you have this beautiful engine running smoothly. But every engine needs fuel. What happens when the empire's main fuel source, a constant supply of new silver, starts to run dry?
This is the crucial turning point. Rome's entire business model got flipped on its head. It went from being a profitable conquest machine, always bringing in fresh silver, to a massively expensive maintenance operation. So income basically flatlined, while the cost of defending thousands of miles of border just went through the roof.
So what do you do when your income doesn't even come close to covering your expenses? Well, Rome didn't just collapse. It started a long, painful, but also incredibly clever process of adaptation. By the time of the Severan dynasty, the whole game had changed. Real power wasn't with the Senate anymore, it was with the legions out on the frontiers. And keeping that massive army paid was priority number 1, 2, and 3. With no new silver coming in, the emperors made a very calculated choice. They started debasing the currency.
Now, it's really easy to just call this cheating, but it was much smarter than that. See, by keeping the name Denarius and keeping all the accounting the same, they could reduce the actual silver inside to mint way more coins from the same pile of metal. The goal wasn't just to fool people, it was a desperate policy to stretch the silver they had and keep that vital circulatory system flowing to the troops.
But as you can imagine, what started as a managed policy quickly spiraled out of control. This era, the 3rd century crisis, was pure chaos. You had emperor after emperor, most of them put on the throne by their own troops, and each one had to pay a massive bonus to secure loyalty. This just put the debasement into hyperdrive. I mean, just look at that number, 5%. A coin that was once nearly pure silver was now basically a bronze coin with a thin silver wash. The result? The empire's unified accounting language just fell apart. Trust completely evaporated, and the state had to fall back more and more on that old system of just collecting taxes and goods.
So, with the entire silver system in total chaos, Emperor Constantine comes along and does something absolutely radical. He doesn't even try to fix the broken denarius. Instead, he builds a brand new system right on top of it.
And here is the genius of it. The new Gold Solidus wasn't for everybody. It was a strategic tool designed to save the core of the state. Its purity was guaranteed, making it an unshakable anchor for paying top generals and bureaucrats. Meanwhile, the old, worthless bronze coins were just left to drift in value, used for everyday stuff in local markets. It was a brilliant, if unequal, two-tiered system.
This golden anchor strategy was a masterstroke for sure, but it also had these profound, probably unintended consequences. It would actually end up deciding the very different fates of the two halves of the Roman Empire.
And this chart, wow, it tells the whole story. The Eastern Empire, with its big cities and busy trade routes, had the economic muscle to actually support the new gold standard. They could collect taxes in gold and keep the state machine running. But the West, it was more rural, more agrarian. It just couldn't keep up. Its economy fractured and became more and more localized. So you see, when the empire was formally split in 395, it wasn't the cause of the problem, it was the results of the problem. It was basically a practical admission that they were trying to govern two completely different economic worlds. So, after all that, what's the big lesson here? What's the ultimate takeaway from this centuries-long saga of monetary crisis and adaptation?
I want you to let this sink in for a second. Roman currency wasn't the cause of the collapse, it was the technology of survival. For centuries, every single change, the debasement, the hybrid economy, the gold standard, these weren't mistakes. They were calculated adaptations, tools that bought the empire precious time. So the real question isn't why Rome fell, it's how on earth this amazing monetary technology allowed it to survive for so incredibly long.